Taking a look at the Lionheart LH9 Mark II in two-tone alpine white and black, and the CZ P-07 in two-tone urban gray and darker gray. It's Two-Tone Tuesday, going head to head. Okay, boys and girls, it is cold out here. Very cold, so I'm going to do the best I can to do a whole bunch of shooting and a whole bunch of talking and comparing these two really awesome guns out here at the range today. This, by the way, in alpine white, I believe has been discontinued, making this kind of a collector's item, so I like that. All right, I'm going to load these things up with, start out with some Remington ammo and just start putting some holes in a target and see if I can keep myself warm. Maybe get these muzzles nice and hot and warm my hands next to them. So one of my goals, if I can make it, is to actually publish this video by Christmas Day 2016, possibly even on Christmas Day 2016. And if I am successful and able to do that, then this patch of Silent Night from the Patriot Patch Company's Patch of the Month Club will be a little more appropriate. And if I miss my goal and I don't publish this video until after Christmas, that won't be nearly as appropriate. But then again, if you're watching this sometime in the spring or summer, then it's also not appropriate. But it is nonetheless just about the coolest patch they've made so far. If you want to get in on that action, you got to join the Patch of the Month Club at Patriot Patch, patriotpatch.co, good friends of this channel. And if you use the discount code Justin, I think you can still get 10% off of the Patch of the Month Club. I'm not positive, so don't be mad. Don't be mad at them. Be mad at me if that's not true. Okay, it's been a while since I shot either one of these guns. It's been probably 9 or 10 months almost since I shot the Lionheart, and it's been at least 3 months or more since I shot the CZ. So I've been itching to shoot both of them again, and what a great opportunity then to compare the two. So I'm going to start out with the one that has waited the longest, and that's the Lionheart. Both of these have 15-round magazines. They are both double single action. The Lionheart is double action plus. I'll talk about that a bit more in a while. Talked about it in my first 100 video, but I'll expand on that a little bit, kind of revisit that topic. I'm just going to shoot both of these guns and warm up a little bit, remind myself how they shoot. Let's do body shots with the Lionheart and headshots with the CZ. That'll keep our shots separate. And without further ado, all right, this is 10 yards, by the way. All right, alternate, change up. CZ, P-07. Looking and feeling great with the Talon grip. Let's go up to the head. Nice, nice. Boy, they're both sweet shooters. Might give you a little bit of a warning right now. If you're looking for me to give one of them a thumbs up and one a thumbs down, doubt that's going to happen. Back to the Lionheart. This time we'll start out with both guns in double action. However, the Lionheart, if you may remember from your homework, has double action plus. That means that first shot is not full double action. That's an advantage. Advantage goes to the Lionheart there. So, back to the body with the Lionheart. Sweet pistol, very sweet pistol. All right, back to the head. We'll decock it. Go double action. Full double action with the CZ. Nice. Very nice. CZ feels a little thinner in the hand than the Lionheart. We'll talk about dimensions in a bit. Whenever possible, always throw your magazine in the sand. Both of these guns are hammer fired, double action, single action, but they have some different and interesting differences in the way they operate. So I'm going to start with the CZ. The P-07 is a more traditional double action, single action operation. Okay, so we have our hammer back, and we can decock the hammer if we like using this decocker. Mine is configured to have the decocker. It can either be a decocker or it can be a manual safety, but not both. All right, so when you decock it, it goes to a half cock position. It doesn't really lighten the trigger to speak of, but it shortens the stroke a little bit. It gives you some non-pressured take up right there, and then your double action pull. And then of course, when the slide cycles, you're back to a single action because the cycling of the slide will cock the hammer for the next round. So that's our double action, single action, and that's how that works on the CZ. The Lionheart is a little different. Actually, it's vastly different than pretty much every other double action, single action gun in the way that it handles that. They call the system double action plus. So let's take a look at why they call it that and how it works. If we have our hammer cocked, ready to fire, and we want to decock the hammer, on this gun we simply push the hammer forward. And it doesn't take much effort to do that. So we've pushed the hammer back forward. It is in a completely safe position. But if we want to fire now from there, we can take up all of that slack and put the hammer back in a full cock position with almost no resistance at all to that trigger. And that puts you right at the wall, ready for break. So that's a huge difference. Obviously, you have your regular double action, but the double action plus allows you to decock by hand like that, and then have that take up and be able to prep that trigger for a really light, crisp break. That's still incredibly innovative to me and very cool. Okay, some of the basic specs on this gun that are noteworthy, probably starting first and foremost with the price. The Lionheart LH9, contrary to what you may think, because a lot of people haven't heard of it, and those that have kind of still think of it as a bit of an obscure gun, and because it's an import, they think it's, you know, a less expensive gun. That is not the case. MSRP is $769 for this gun. MSRP is $510 for the CZ. So it's about a 50% difference in price, Lionheart over the CZ. Certainly noteworthy. Okay, finishing up that last little bit of Remington ammo and moving on to Murder's Select in no particular order. Easy as pie. There is a bit of a difference in the material, of course. CZ is a polymer framed handgun, where the Lionheart is an alloy framed handgun. It's actually forged 7075 T6 aluminum is the frame, and the slide is a forged 4140 steel. Here, of course, we have the polymer frame and we have a forged steel slide as well. The finish on the Lionheart is on the lower half, on the frame, is a white Cerakote. The white Cerakote, again, I think is no longer available, so haha, I have one and you probably don't. The urban gray polymer of the CZ is topped with a forged steel slide that is nitrate coated. Barrel length for the Lionheart is 4.1 inches. Barrel length for the CZ is 3.75 inches, so just over a quarter of an inch difference, with the Lionheart being longer. Overall length of the pistols is close, 7.5 inches here for the Lionheart, 7.2 inches for the P-07. P-07 is a little taller at 5.3 inches versus 4.92 inches for the Lionheart. Now that will have something to do with the magazine that's being used, and I think if we look at these guns side by side right now, they are almost the same height. The reason is because I do have the extended 15-round magazine in the Lionheart. So I think that dimension would come with the more flush-mounted 13-round magazine. So 15 rounds versus 15 rounds, the height is virtually the same. The thickness is a big difference too between these two guns. Now they both provide a measurement, but I'm going to give you some additional measurements beyond that too, because they're both measuring, I think, like the narrowest part of the gun. Lionheart publishes 1.32 inches. CZ publishes 1.46 inches, and I did see that that's true, but there's also some other dimensions that are equally important. So if we start with the Lionheart, see if we can get that same. Now if I go way out here to just the slide, I can get under an inch. But if I go to where the slide stop lever is, just over an inch. And if I go out to the widest part, which is where the safeties are, 1.4 and some change. So that's more than they're publishing. So they must be publishing, looks like right here, 1.32 is what they're saying, and we're real close to that. We're within 10 thousandths of it, and that is right at the slide lock at its widest port, right at the widest part of the slide lock, and even into that grip a little bit. But if we go down in here and measure the actual handle of the pistol, you're looking at over an inch and 3/8. Okay, so that gives you a couple ideas about the size there. Now, the the CZ, they publish 1.46. So right off the bat, they're telling you that it's a thicker gun. Let's find out where that is. That's back here. So 1.46 is where the ambidextrous decocker sits. Now that's being a little more honest, I think, than Lionheart, who did not use this dimension here. So if you measure the Lionheart in the same place, 1.436. So suddenly apples are compared to apples, right? So if we measured the CZ at the same place that Lionheart publishes their width for, it's only 1284, so it's actually less. See how people play with numbers, and they don't always tell you the whole truth and nothing but the truth. And also, if we look down into the grip now, 1193, so we're just under 1.2 inches. And then here's a number that's important to me. This is where your hand is going to be. This is going to affect how easily it is to reach the trigger. Just barely over an inch. And that's right here is where I'm measuring. Right from the sort of apex of the beaver tail grip across. Now if we measure that same area here, you see that this doesn't even want to fit on. Spread that out so that it does fit. You're at 13.5. Significant. Very significant. That's like, you know, a quarter of an inch difference in thickness right there. So there's one other measurement that I like to sometimes do, and I'm going to do that one. Bear with me. And that is the trigger reach, to show from the deepest recess of the curve in that backstrap and beaver tail to the middle of the trigger. On the Lionheart, we're at 2. Let me get it where you can see it without glare, 2.739. And then if we go to the CZ, oh look, doesn't even fit. Stretch that guy out, and we are at 2.966. So it's a big difference. But now let me show you something else. I'm really trying your patience, aren't I? But here. So this one, significantly shorter distance. If I put my hand in my normal grip, bring my finger to the trigger, you can see that I'm getting a nice bite on that trigger. I'm getting well into the pad, just about right across the center of the pad of my finger. Right? Pick up the CZ, and we expect that I'm probably going to be just grabbing it with my fingernail, right? Because of the difference in the grip length. But look, it's almost exactly the same spot on the pad of my finger. Maybe a little tiny bit less, but virtually the same. You know why? Because this gun is thinner here, so my hand is wrapping around something thinner, and that extends my reach. Here I have to go around something that's fatter. So all those dimensions are important when you're trying to size a gun. So, you know, if this is if you're looking at this video because you don't have access to pick either of these guns up and hold them, hopefully that gives you some kind of an idea. From 25 yards with Freedom Munitions, just 5-shot groups from each gun. Starting with the Lionheart. Okie dokie, go change my target. On to the CZ P-07. Same ammo, same distance. Couple of other specification-y type things. Did we talk about overall length? Overall length is 7.5 inches for the Lionheart, 7.2 inches for the P-07, although I suspect that is not for the tactical version with the suppressor barrel. So they're probably very, very similar in overall length. Actually, can see with your very own eyes there that the CZ is longer. So if it had a standard barrel, you can see where it would be just a tiny bit shorter, but such is not the case with the tactical suppressor ready model. Alright, let's take a look at the sight picture, both of these guns. Start out with the CZ. Now, of course, the CZ has those high suppressor height sights. But there is our sight picture. It is a good 3-dot sight picture. There's not a whole lot of extra airspace, which I like. There you go. Now the Lionheart LH9 Mark II. Got that blacked out rear sight, which I tend to like. Good front sight post and white dot. A little bit more airspace on this one inside that notch. But a good sight picture. There she is. The weight of these two guns is also very close, 26.4 inches for the Lionheart, 27.7 inches for the CZ. In both cases, that's with a unloaded magazine, with an empty mag. Talked about the magazine capacity being 15 for each, but the Lionheart actually comes with a 13-round magazine. It depends on which model you buy from Lionheart. And maybe what they're doing that particular day on their website, or what your dealer might have done when he ordered stock. But this pistol came with a 13-round magazine and one 15-round magazine, and I ordered a separate 15-round magazine at the same time. So I have two 15s and the one 13. The CZ P-07 came with two 15-round magazines, although it does say on each one +2. If you can see that. So they've already extended that. That leads me to believe that this was initially a 13-round magazine, although it is stamped 15 on the back. So I don't know why they're saying +2 if they've stamped it 15 and it holds 15. Your guess is as good as mine. What else? Sights are good on both. The Lionheart has Novak sights. It's got that blacked out rear and that front dot, which I like. The CZ P-07 has a 3-dot sight system. Of course, they are extra tall because they are suppressor ready. They are also night sights. These are not night sights on the Lionheart. External safety. The Lionheart has external safety, ambidextrous. The CZ-P-07 has the option of either the decocker, which is the way this one is configured, which is an ambidextrous control, or you can change that out and put a manual safety on there, which would also be an ambidextrous control. Both controls come with the pistol. Which way it's configured when you buy it is your choice. If you order it, if it's in stock, then it's whatever it is. But you can get it either way, but you can also change it no matter which way you get it. So that's kind of nice. Neither pistol has a dreaded magazine disconnect safety, which is a good thing. So in both cases, without a magazine, you can pull the trigger, the gun will fire. And that happens just as well with the Lionheart. So comparison videos aren't always about saying which one's better unless there's a clear preference, but I do like to point out things I like about one versus things I may not like as much about the other, and so forth. And overall, in general, the gun I enjoy shooting the most is the CZ-P-07. The Lionheart is fun to shoot, but it's not as fun to shoot as the CZ. I did some accuracy testing the day I was out at the range with these two, and it was a really cold and windy day, and I was not at my best. But again, both pistols dealt with me and the conditions being the same on that same day, and they both shot the same ammo. I think it was Freedom Munitions. And big difference in the groups. The group for the Lionheart was awful. The group for the CZ was pretty nice, actually. And I actually have those right here. Let's take a quick look. This is the CZ target, and it goes all the way from down here to up here. The measurement on the 5-shot group is a whopping 10.125, so 10 1/8 inches. That's pretty bad. And the reason I do a 5 and then I do a 3 is because I try to take my my inadequacies out of the equation to some degree. So, it's very likely that I threw a shot or two. Certainly that one could have been a flyer attributed to me. So the 3-shot group, which would be this group right up here, 2.323 inches. That's not bad at 25 yards. But the CZ-P-07 did even more gooder, because we can, number one, we can get all 5 shots on the same frame without moving the target around. You can see them all here. And that one I still think was probably a flyer. That was probably due to me flinching or something. But there's a nice 4-group spread, but our 5 was just over 5 inches. 3 is just under 1 inch right there. That's 0.918. So on that day, with this shooter and that ammo, the CZ was notably more accurate, but that is, that and $10 will get you a cup of coffee at Starbucks, because it's just conversational. Okay, so I don't know if you have a favorite. I kind of think my favorite is the CZ as far as a shooting gun. Now, as far as just enjoying it as a piece of machinery, I really like the Lionheart. It's a beautiful gun. It's well crafted, extremely good quality. But as far as just being a lot of fun to take out to the range, I think I would grab the CZ first. There you go. Comparison of the Lionheart LH9 Mark II, the CZ P-07 in urban gray. A couple of two-tone wonders.